Good evening. Just going to set some of the agenda for this evening. Tonight will be student or fellow-centric. The kids will run the graduation, so I'd like to ask if everyone give their undivided attention. If you have your cell phones, please turn them off, and you enjoy the nachas that you will have from your daughters and sons, cousins and family members as they graduate the Solomon Leadership Program. So to start the evening off, we'd like to ask Chaya Reines to please come up, who will give the opening remarks.
Good evening. A very warm welcome to the Solomon Leadership Program graduation ceremony. My name is Chaya Reines, and I stand before you today as a junior at Sherubina. It's my honor to welcome Rabbi Lipsker and Rabbi Farkish, whose insights we eagerly anticipate. Welcome to our esteemed commencement speaker, Michael Bitlisko, whose insights we eagerly anticipate. And of course, a special welcome to our mentors and the backbone of this program, whose guidance and support were invaluable. Last, but certainly not least, a warm welcome to our families and friends, whose love and encouragement have fueled our growth throughout this transformative year. Throughout my journey in the Solomon Leadership Program, I have undergone substantial and personal growth. It's been a path of continuous learning, pushing beyond comfort zones, and embracing the inevitable lessons that challenges bring. Each pillar has contributed to shaping me into a more effective and confident leader. By seeking feedback in introspective moments of self-discovery, every experience has shaped me into a leader I am proud to be. This program has not only enhanced my skills in communication, decision-making, and conflict resolution, but has also nurtured qualities like empathy, resilience, and humility. I am deeply grateful for the invaluable guidance and unwavering support of my mentor, Mr. Mikey Perez, whose wisdom has not only strengthened my commitment to my Judaism and goals, but has also reinforced the importance of staying true to my core values. This evening, we celebrate the achievements and growth we've experienced as fellows. As we reflect on this transformative journey in the Solomon Leadership Program, we realize that it's not just about personal growth, but also about fostering a collective mission to inspire positive change. Each lesson learned, each challenge overcome, and each mentor's guidance has contributed to shaping us into leaders dedicated to making a meaningful impact. As we move forward, let us carry this shared vision with determination, unity, and commitment to lead with integrity and compassion, knowing that our journey in leadership is not just an individual path, but a collective mission to inspire positive change, shaping the future as tomorrow's leaders. Thank you, and please enjoy the program.
Good evening, my name is Mr. Shochat. Tonight I would like to discuss the Torah's model for an effective leader and what the Torah views as a vital aspect of leadership. The critical quality of leadership in the Torah is actually one that seems strange and not something you would guess is important at all. It's certainly not something that you might find on any list claiming to characterize leaders, and it's actually the opposite of what comes to mind when thinking about what a leader is. That quality is humility. In a society full of self-promotion, it has become a common misconception that a leader is a boastful and a loud personality. But the greatest leader in world history, Moshe Rabbeinu, has only one specific character trait ever mentioned about him. As it says, and that man Moshe was more humble than any man on earth. What? Humility? Leaders have to be strong, self-assured, and decisive, but humble? But this is just a misunderstanding of what humility actually is. So what is humility? What does it mean to be humble? Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Over the last 6 months or so, we have explored in depth many critical elements of effective leadership: judgment, persistence, tolerance, and so forth. What is the secret ingredient that allows one to personify and embody all of these pillars? The answer is clear: humility. This is why all the great leaders in Jewish history, Moshe, King David, and Hillel, were all described as sharing this trait. After all we have discovered in our sessions, it should be clear that one of our challenges is the inherent biases and filters that we each bring, that make it so hard to empathize and feel what the other feels or needs. How can we overcome this? Humility. Humility isn't a low sense of self-worth. Rather, it's the ability to take yourself out of the picture. To stop thinking about what I need, but what am I needed for? If we want to have tolerance for one another, I need to stop thinking about what I feel and instead thinking about what the situation calls for. When we encounter difficult tasks and multiple failures, it becomes easy to throw in the towel. But when we recall it's not about what makes me feel good, but what I'm needed for, we persist. And that magical moment when we can step out of our myopic selfish needs is when we can truly start to have a vision. This is why the Torah teaches that if we want to inculcate all of the wonderful ideas we have learned together to be the leaders the Jewish world and the greater world desperately need, we must learn what it means to be humble. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Perla Banan. It is my honor to speak this evening about our homeland Israel. The terrible attacks of October 7th happened shortly before we began our Solomon Leadership Program journey, and it quickly became clear that good leadership and a strong moral compass are needed now more than ever before. As a proud fellow of Solomon, the concepts taught at Solomon have helped me navigate this challenging landscape. As the sirens wail, so does society's yearning for guidance through the deep, muddy trenches. As innocent Israeli civilians are brutally murdered, our nation is losing sight of what their values truly are. As potential leaders, it is our duty to make sure this does not take effect, and we must use the tools that the Solomon Leadership Program bestowed upon us to ensure that we maintain the hope and motivation of the Jewish nation. Throughout Solomon, the curriculum, my mentor, and the guest speakers have harmonized to create the tools for us to navigate through this difficult time. As a potential leader in this next generation, it is important for me to recognize that each pillar of leadership carried out correctly is altogether a conduit for success. Whether it is in school, a business, or spreading awareness of the tragic event of October 7th. As a leader, it is my duty to fulfill each pillar of leadership and represent the Jewish nation in a way that exemplifies good character. I must stay true to my values of Judaism and use the Torah to be my guiding light and moral compass in order to carry out the rest of the pillars properly and help guide my people through this tragic period in Jewish history. Above all, we have learned that leadership takes a community. As we have seen the Jewish people unite together in the face of tragedy, let us hold on to that sense of unity that has helped us all through this difficult time. As leaders, we carry our moral compass and the lessons we have learned at Solomon and pray together for the safety of our soldiers, our hostages, and our people of Israel.
Just want to give a warm welcome to my father and teacher, Rabbi Lipsker, the founder and spiritual leader of the shul and community, to please share some words of wisdom in honor of our dear fellows.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations. Never before has this group been as important as it is today. Today, student leadership is running the world and turning the face of the world in the direction that it decides to take. Students all over the country, all over the world. It's not the first time that this has happened. In the 1960s, there was a major revolution of the young who went against the norms, mores, and moral structures of that period. I was part of it. And the Rebbe talked about that revolution publicly. He said it was the biggest revolution in history without leadership. They did know where to go. Today as well, there's a major revolution, screaming and yelling and searching for some meaning in life, some purpose that they haven't been able to find for whatever reason, probably our own fault. Sitting in the comfort zones and watching our children being taken by strange nations. I remember in the 60s when so many Jews were involved in the Eastern cults. And there was one Eastern guru, a pretty decent human being, wasn't one of these calculating thieves that these gurus were. His name was Muktananda, nice man. And he captured hundreds of thousands of young minds. I remember here in Florida coming and watching thousands of Jews, young Jews, sitting together on the floor, kind of shaking and praying and swaying and meditating, etc. And I got to this man after a little while, to understand what his strength is, why he wants to take our Jewish kids, because they were taking them by the dozens. And when I finally got to him, talked to him through an interpreter, and refused to walk by him with a gift. You know, you have to walk by him and give a gift in order to qualify to be a member of his group, but he allowed me to come without giving me a gift, and wearing my shoes. And he said to his interpreter, I said, why are you taking our Jewish kids? Why don't you go back to India? There's so many millions of people that need saving. Why don't you go back there and bring them home? Why do you come here? And he said to me, you're making a mistake. I don't come here to take your kids. You have thrown your kids out. I just pick them off the street. I don't take them from their schools. I don't take them from their synagogues. I don't take them from their programs. I take them from no place. We have to take a different look at our role as leaders in Jewish education and Jewish leadership. You young, solid students. I'm not talking to the parents today, I'm talking to the students, to the college, to the high school students, going to the next stage of your life, learning what it means to take a position, to represent Almighty God. You are the representative of the most powerful force in the universe. We have been chosen to represent God Almighty Himself. That's who we should be. We qualify that by being born to a Jewish mother or converting according to Jewish law. But we don't live it unless we start living like Jews. Most Jews in America live like non-Jews in the Jewish world. In a place where you can live like a Jew, we choose the non-Jewish life because it's so much less pressured, more comfortable, more in comfort zone, etc. This group, I've been told, is an exceptional group. You had exceptional mentors. And you're studying in an environment that's dedicated to bring Mashiach, to bring balance to the world. The job of the Jew, another name to the Jew, is not Jew, but light. Isaiah refers to us as a light unto the nations. We light up the world. Darkness hates light, because darkness dissipates where there's light. That's why evil operates in tunnels and with masks. They don't want to be exposed. But a Jew should be light. And the way that we can be light is by connecting to the ultimate light of the universe. And Almighty God tells us, in order to be a Jew, to fulfill your mission, to have your strength, to be the kind of person that you need to be to face an entire world, we have seen clearly today how the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, the blessing, Am levada yishkain v'agoyim lo yischashav. We are a nation that sits solitary. We're not lonely. We have God on our side, but we are alone. We have been abandoned by the nations of the world. We've always made a mistake to think that they are the ones that support us. Israel did not become Israel because in 1948 the United Nations, the House of Darkness, the House of Evil, decided to give us a piece of land. We got Israel because it belongs to us. It is ours eternally. And we have to argue for that point. Our starting point is not 76 years ago. Our starting point was with Abraham, with creation. As soon as God created the world, He said that Israel belongs to the Jewish people. It's about time we started looking at ourselves through Jewish eyes, through God's eyes, through the Torah eyes, not through secular eyes. We should not look at the Jewish people how the secular world looks at us. We should look at the Jewish people how God looks at us, as His chosen princes and princesses, His chosen leaders and paradigm shifters of the world to make the world go in the right direction. So I bless you, give you the blessing, whatever we can. God should give you the strength, the resistance, the resilience, the courage, the bravery, the openness, the clarity, the connection. And always remember, we're not victims. We're not Holocaust survivors. We are God's chosen people. We are the best that God creates. We can change the world. We are kings and queens belonging to a royal nation. And when we remember that, and remember the one thing that we always forget, that God tells us, be holy. Holy is a different dimension. The world is not commanded to be holy. The world is commanded to be civilized and organized and structured and moral and ethical. But the Jew has the capacity to be holy. And when you're holy, your leadership comes to a whole other dimension, connecting the source of the universe. And God brings us Mashiach, the Mirza Hashem, and we will always be successful on Israel High.
Words of congratulations. So first of all, I'd really like to congratulate this most amazing Solomon leadership group that we've had to date. We've had different levels of growth throughout the years of doing Solomon Leadership Program. And we decided this year we're going to be a little bit more strict, more selective on the students that are joining the program, that are dedicated, that want to be leaders, that want to spend the time and the energy and what it takes to feel that they have the power to influence. And I hope that we were able to give you, through the mentors, through the program, the tools that is needed, as my father just said, to be holy, to be different. Years ago, they thought Judaism was just a religion, and therefore they decided that if they could convert Jews, they can actually change their DNA, change their essence, and they could fit in with the rest of society. But then people realized that the Jew was much deeper than religion, because even the Jews that weren't so religious were still Jews. They then decided that Judaism is a race, and therefore the only way to get rid of those people is to exterminate them, God forbid. But after the Holocaust, those words did not have politically correctness to it to say the Jewish people are a race, so they described us as ethnicity. Ethnicity doesn't really work either, because after 3 generations, there's assimilation into the cultures that you're in. We could see from the Jewish people themselves, we come in all different customs, colors, backgrounds, different parts of the world. So it's not just ethnicity. So what is it? What does it mean to be holy? It means to have the courage to be a light unto the nations, to be different, to not follow the crowds, to not follow what's popular, to not follow what the world and society has decided is what is proper. Moral relativism is what they call it today, a morality that changes with the times. We hope that through the 8 pillars of leadership that have been able to be imbued into your collective brains, hopefully in your hearts and in your actions, you'll have the strength of character and many of the others of tolerance and discipline, the things that you need. And we're very, very proud. I was talking to Rabbi Shaiki, I was talking to the leadership of Solomon, and there's no question about it, the effort, the time, the dedication that this group of students has put in on their own time. When there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of other things that people want to be doing, they came here diligently, studying. The mentors themselves told me how impressed they were and excited they were to come here and impart their knowledge, because you guys were thirsting for it, you were open to it, you were humble, you were ready to be a receiver of this information. So I think you should get an all big round of applause for the hard work and dedication. And we cannot wait for the next phase of your growth and continued elevation. So I'd like to first call upon Rabbi Shaiki Farkash, our youth director, who makes all of this happen on a regular basis. And as you can tell, he loves the limelight. So he's coming up here now, and I'd like to ask my father and mother, Rabbi Revitz and Lipsker, to please come up so you can hand the awards out to the wonderful fellows and their diplomas for this great effort. We will be doing the names in alphabetical order. I'd like to ask Lola Azarati to please come up to receive her diploma. Just as you come up, we obviously want to remember this moment, so please look at the photographer as well. She wants to hang out up there. Okay, you can. Next, we'd like to call up Ali Banyan to please come up. like to call upon Perla Banon. Like to call upon Zoe Cohen. Please come up. Shaul Dagmi. Rachel Kabetpour. Shoshana Duchman. Noah Garson. Lila Goldfarb. Ava Greenwald. Lady Hussein. Sarah Haimovich. Jonah Lamette. Jacob Leibowitz. Come on, you can do it. Rivka Levy. Sarabatya Lipskar. Joseph Nahoan. Perla Odds. Abigail Reich. Chaya Reines. Ariel Rosanel. Musya Shochat. Zvi Wasserstein. Zalman Wunsch. Give a round of applause for our wonderful fellows. We're now going to hear some words of remarks and congratulations from Dr. Art Johnson from the Palm Beach Academy University, Atlantic University. Either way, he's the one who gives the wonderful credits for this program. I just want to say thank you so much to our amazing mentors. Without you, this program would never be meaningful, would never work. And thank God we have the ability to have these wonderful mentors with us here this evening. They've taken time out of their busy schedules, whether they're working or they're doing other things, to really give their lessons to the young fellows. So it's really wonderful. Some of them have been here more than once. We have one or two that have been here 3 times already being mentors. So it's really wonderful and really greatly appreciated. And you're going to hear some words from the students themselves to show and illustrate the impact that you've made on their lives. Just see here with us, we have Chief Raleigh Flowers, one of our speakers this year, from the Chief of Police from Bell Harbour Village. Bell Harbour, not just the village, right? And Mrs. Sitbon is here with us, one of our amazing speakers as well. Thank you so much. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Shoshana Duchman to please come up.
What is leadership? The Lubavitcher Rebbe once said, "True leaders create other leaders, not followers." Good evening. My name is Shoshana Duchman. Before I joined this program, I looked up to celebrities, influencers, and sports players as leaders. After all, they have lots of followers. Since then, I've been forced to ask myself an important question. What do they do that deserves leadership? They may have good looks, money, and fame, but many of the so-called influencers I've looked up to in the past don't have the traits that make a true leader. When I signed up to Solomon last spring, I never imagined how quickly and vastly our world would shift with the horrific terror this past Simchas Torah. In this post-October 7th world that we find ourselves in, true leadership is more important than ever. Once powerful leaders have become weak and feeble in their response towards evil and terror. I find the politicians, musicians, and actors I used to admire unable to stand up for truth and justice for the atrocities committed against Israel. The Solomon program has taught me that a true leader never stays silent. In each Solomon session, we learned about figures in our history and modern day times that radiated strong leadership. They were not afraid and had the courage to go against the tides and stand up for what's right. Leaders like David HaMelech, Moshe Rabbeinu, Martin Luther King Jr., and Albert Einstein, to name a few, all consistently showed qualities of leadership with every decision they made. They built lasting legacies and created true change that has had a ripple effect on generations to come. On a recent trip to New York with this teaching organization, I got to see what true leadership looks like. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, a leader of our generation, had a vision, and that vision came true. I sat with over 3,000 Jewish teenagers from different walks of life, connecting and raising our voices in unity and pride in our Jewishness. I thought to myself, how incredible it is that one person can impact the lives of so many. The Rebbe passed on his legacy to thousands of followers. He then transformed them into leaders by empowering them not to be afraid or ashamed of who they are. He helped them realize that they are on a critical mission, and with acts of goodness and kindness, together we can bring more light into a world filled with darkness. He truly changed this world, inspiring an entire generation. This encourages me that if so many can play a part in the Rebbe's vision, I can too. Overall, the Solomon Leadership Program has opened up a whole new perspective on how to live a full and meaningful life, how to lead with true character and judgment. Whether it's the patience and teamwork that my mentor, Mr. Wolf, taught me, or the strong vision and impact from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I now have the tools and knowledge to step up to the plate and change the game. I know that because of this program, I have the power to inspire change within my community. The first two leaders I've ever encountered are my parents, who have always taught me that to be a true leader, you must be kind. I was truly raised in a home built on chesed. I've seen my parents spearheading projects and organizations to benefit the community, and they truly show me every day what leadership means. I also saw my sister Goldie, who led by example, giving up her time to volunteer, and this inspired me. I would like to thank my mentor, Mr. Jeffrey Wolf, who taught me that it's not only about being the best leader that I can be, but it's just as important to spread my knowledge of leadership in order to help others lead as well. As you leave here tonight, I want all of you to remember that leadership now is more important than ever. Each and every one of you are leaders. Go out, lead by example, inspire and empower others. Never be afraid to do what's right. We are now living in a time where the world is constantly trying to silence our voices and our Jewish pride. I'm asking you, please don't allow yourself to be silenced. Wear your stars of David and your keep us proudly, and most importantly, never be afraid to be who you are. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Jacob Leibowitz, and I'm here to appreciate Mr. Bengio. There are a few words that I could use to describe Mr. Bengio, but I chose chutzpah. Throughout the Solomon program, the mentors taught us numerous concepts and philosophies to help our mind and souls grow, but chutzpah is what I thought was the most important. Why chutzpah? What is chutzpah? It's pushing against the norm, and he taught us good chutzpah. The magnificent growth that Solomon helped aid is no coincidence or random product. Solomon understood the philosophies necessary to build the leaders of the next generation. The skills that my mentor used the most to teach us, specifically this good way of pushing against the norm and teaching us, showing us the other side of the coin, was so valuable that we learned so much from it. Good chutzpah means going against the norm, or testing, the experimenting, and proving the opposite. Mr. Benjo didn't teach us. He opened our minds to numerous new perspectives that all encompass the philosophies of Solomon leadership. In such an effort, on behalf to our group, I thank him for all the work and time he gave us to show us the other side of everything, whether it be the egg example that he brought, or it could be stock market, it could be anything. Please come to the stage and accept a small token of appreciation. This is his third year.
Hello, and good evening. My name is Tzvi Wasserstein. I'm a 10th grader in Hebrew Academy, and I have the honor of completing and graduating from Solomon Leadership, and the honor to speak here tonight. I would like to start off by saying that my mentor, Mr. Fuchs, has taught our group many valuable lessons, and has shared with us many stories from his years of experience in business. He once told us a story that really inspired me and has truly altered my way of thinking. He also taught me the meaning of empowerment and strongly pushes the idea of persistence and not giving up on becoming successful and eventually achieving your dreams, whether it be in business or in your personal lives. Every day I wake up and I strive to be incredibly successful and an inspiring human just like my mentor, Mr. Fuchs. On 2 separate occasions, while Mr. Fuchs wasn't able to make out the class, I had the opportunity to sit with other mentors. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I had a great time with you as well. I sincerely appreciate everything Mr. Fuchs has done for me over the span of the Solomon Leadership Program. The time and dedication he put into each class truly made every class more enjoyable than the last. I thank you for being a great role model to all of us. So unfortunately, Paco Fuchs wasn't able to make it tonight, but from everything I know about him and all the experience that I had with him, I can confidently say that it's a good reason and it's definitely benefiting us and our lives as a Jew. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rivka Levy. Throughout my Solomon journey, I have embarked on a mission of growth and education directed by my mentor, Mrs. Krantz. Mrs. Krantz, educator and mother, expresses the true meaning of a leader, embodying everything she has taught me throughout this process. I learned how to grow, have balance in my life, understand my identity, act when I see injustice, judge carefully, and turn my ideas into reality while being connected to God. Over the past few months, both I and my fellows, with the guidance of our mentor, have been discussing the 8 pillars. Our first session on the pillar character resonated with me the most. Mrs. Krantz shared with us the capable vision of being a mother and having a successful work life. She explained, it's all about balance, time for work and time for your family. I now have the confidence to achieve these life goals while staying true to my character and morals. The time that I gained with Mrs. Krantz allowed me to grow as a leader and as a person. Mrs. Krantz pushed me to look beyond the norm and encouraged me to achieve any of my goals, small or large. Thank you for being my mentor, role model, and friend. Forever will these lessons be a part of me. I appreciate you greatly. Please join us on stage to receive the small token of appreciation. Second year.
Hi, my name is Irenes, and throughout the Solomon course, my mentor, Mr. Mikey Perez, has profoundly influenced me and challenged my character, enabling me to evolve as a better leader. At the beginning of every meeting, Mr. Perez would prompt the group to reflect on a critical takeaway from the previous session. Each fellow of our group would then share insights that resonated with us deeply. Mr. Perez would always make sure to correlate our lessons to the importance of Jewish identity, highlighting how all our decisions, whether professional or personal, must align with our Judaism and our core values. One of the most pivotal lessons I've learned from Mr. Perez is the significance of staying true to my core values. He has continuously emphasized the importance of prioritizing not only our goals, but also our identities and our beliefs. In a world where we are often pulled different directions, Mr. Perez has taught me the power of authenticity and integrity. He has shown me that the success is not just about achieving external milestones, but also maintaining internal alignment with who I am and who I stand for. Mr. Perez's mentorship has been invaluable in shaping my journey toward becoming a better leader. I am truly grateful for his wisdom, guidance, and unwavering support. Thank you, Mr. Perez, for being an inspiring mentor and for instilling in me and our group the values that will guide us for a lifetime. Mr. Perez, please come up on stage and take a small token of our appreciation. Thank you.
It's his first year.
Or hopefully many more. One second. He was also very kind enough to give the entire Solomon leadership students a sweatshirt that they will all be leaving with tonight, and mentors and the faculty. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ava Greenwald, a junior at Jewish Culture High School. Reflecting on my journey with the Solomon program alongside my mentor fills me with immense gratitude. Partnering with Dr. Rosenau has been nothing short of a privilege, as she embodies qualities I deeply admire and has become a genuine role model for me. A successful cardiologist, Dr. Rosenau serves as a reminder for me that the only limits to our potential are those that we impose upon ourselves. She exemplifies the notion that there is nothing beyond our reach if we set our minds to it, balancing her professional achievements with the responsibilities of motherhood. With Dr. Rosenau, every session was targeted with in-depth reflection on the pillars we had learned and a critical examination of what we did and did not like about in the speeches. Dr. Rosenau made us think in a very critical way that really helped me enhance my perspective and look at things a little deeper. In essence, my time with Dr. Rosenau has been instrumental in shaping my outlook and approach to life. I am forever grateful for her guidance and wisdom, which have undoubtedly left an indelible mark on my journey and aspirations. Dr. Rosenau, please come to the stage to receive the token of
Good evening. My name is Sarah White-Lipsker. In my attendance at the Solomon Leadership Program, I had the pleasure of being under the mentorship of an amazing, inspirational woman, Mrs. Rivka Weingott. Mrs. Rivka Weingott made my Solomon experience what it was. She spent time adding depth into each pillar by sharing personal experience and guidance. I appreciated how Mrs. Weingott made each individual in our group share personal opinions and help better understand each pillar.
Mrs. Weingott made each one of her contributions to the program significant. During one of the pillars in particular, as I was getting ready to share my takeaway, I was very nervous. As the other fellows were speaking, I relayed that I was worried I wouldn't sound like my peers. Mrs. Weingott instantly responded and said, "You don't need to sound like them, you just need to sound like you." That was just one example of how personal Mrs. Weingott made this experience for me and allowed me to grow as an individual. It is because of Mrs. Weingott that I was able to take the curriculum and truly apply it to my life. I now walk away with the knowledge of all 8 pillars and how I can use them in my personal growth, thanks to my mentor. I sincerely appreciate my time with Mrs. Weingott here at the Solomon Leadership Program. The time and effort you spent put into making this experience for us so impactful and memorable is much appreciated. Mrs. Weingott, please come to the stage to accept a small token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Zalman Wunsch. I'm a 10th grader in Hebrew Academy, and this year I had not only the privilege of being a member of the Solomon program, but additionally the special privilege of being mentored by none other than Mr. Jeffrey Wolf. Jeff fostered an environment for us in which we could really speak about anything, whether it was sports, leadership in the workplace, or just anything going on. And I think it really helped us not just connect with Jeff, but it helped everybody in the group connect with each other. If I were to speak about all the lessons that Jeff taught us, I'd be here all night, so I chose 2 that I think really resonated with me. One of the main lessons that Jeff taught us was delegation. Sometimes we like to carry a lot of weight on our shoulders and try to do everything ourselves, and I think a critical skill that everyone here can learn, not just in work, but in life as a whole, is that you need to let other people in, and you need to really just open yourself up. Another main lesson that I learned from Jeff, something that he may have even taught us inadvertently, was how you should always be positive. Jeff would always come in with a smile on his face after a busy day coming back from trips or weddings, and I think that it really enhanced all of our sessions. He really just helped us be positive and showed us that you should not be bogged down by your circumstances and not be disheartened, and that when you're positive, that positivity is normally reciprocated, and it's just the key to living a great, meaningful life. I now like to call Jeff up to receive a small token of appreciation.
My name is Aria Rosenau. I'm a 10th grader at Charibina, and my entire life is built of pillars. To me, when I see a pillar, I see a big, strong chunk of stone blocking my view. At first glance, this seems to be a challenge I must overcome. Although what I don't realize is that once I climb over that pillar, I will look back at it and see that it was an experience I had to have to grow from so that I would be able to further thrive. I believe that every challenge in life is another pillar you have to climb. And yes, sometimes it does get tiring, and you may ask yourself constantly, when can I stop climbing? However, what you don't realize is that with every pillar you overcome, you are strengthening your mind, your heart, and your soul. The Solomon Leadership Program introduced to me 8 different pillars and challenges that I struggled with. Although slowly but surely, with the help of my dear mentor, Mrs. Dina Kranz, I was able to climb each pillar so I'd be able to move on to the next one. My project depicts each pillar of the program, and as you can see, at the last pillar, there's a sign stating the ending of the program. But if you look right above it, you will see another sign that points to continuing your journey in order to continue growing. One of the most valuable lessons Mrs. Kranz taught me from the Solomon Leadership Program is that you never ever stop learning and growing in life. There will always be pillars blocking your view, but it is up to your determination and willpower to climb these pillars, master them, and climb on over to the next one. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abby Reich, and I'm honored to stand before you today as you come together to celebrate our graduation. Throughout Solomon, we've had the privilege of learning from accomplished leaders from our community. We're lucky to hear from Mr. David Brusher, an investor for character, Chief Raleigh M. Flowers, the Chief of Police for the Harbour Police Department for tolerance, Honorable Judge Ursula Ungaro, a former federal judge for communication, Mrs. Esther Sifone, an entrepreneur for vision, Mr. Randy Lesson, a real estate investor for empowerment, Mr. Menachem Kranz, the founder and portfolio manager of Ahava Investment Partners for persistence, Mr. Gabriel Grossman, a previous mayor of Bal Harbour for strategy, Mrs. Tanya Bengio, a telecommunications engineer at Apple Corporations and a former Solomon mentor for judgment. One message that really resonated with me was from former Mayor Gabriel Grossman. As the speaker for the strategy pillar, Mr. Grossman said that in order to succeed, you must chase the things you care about. That message stuck with me. I frequently refer back to that important statement and reflect. What are things I truly care about? How will I chase them? I'm now mindful and aware as I evaluate the things in my life that I devote my time and energy to. Do I do these things because I care about them or because I know that other people care about them? After doing a bit of self-reflection, I was able to stop doing some of the things that other people care about and starting putting a lot of effort into things that I care about. I know this is an important life lesson that will help me become successful. So thank you to the Solomon program and thank you, Mr. Grossman, for sharing that important message. Tonight, we will hear from one final message about leadership, something for each of us to use as we become the future's leaders. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our esteemed commencement speaker, Mr. Michael Blisco. Michael Blisco is the CEO of Infinity Healthcare Consulting, specializing in creating cutting-edge leadership teams. Infinity provides consulting for post-acute care facilities in 6 states with over 10,800 beds. Blisco is also principal and a board member at Strawberry Fields REIT LLC, which manages over 12,000 skilled nursing beds in multiple states and is involved in various ancillary healthcare companies. Blisco holds a master's degree in healthcare administration from Hofstra University and a BA in Talmudic letters from Beit Yisrael, Jerusalem. He serves on the National Executive Committee for Post-Acute Care, the American Healthcare Association, and is on the board of directors for the Ambassador Group, representing regional post-acute operations nationwide. Blisco is also on the board of directors for Option Bank and serves on the Dean's Advisory Board for Hofstra University Graduate School for Health and Applied Sciences. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Michael Blisco as he shares his insights and wisdom with us tonight. I'm sure we will each take away an important message about being the leaders of the future.
Good evening, everyone. We got big shoes to fill up here. You know what they talk about, the guy that comes off the bench is very important, so I hope I can leave a good message tonight. But it's really unbelievable to see anyone that's even interested in being a leader at this point, especially if you're Jewish. I mean, nobody is blind to know what's going on out there. It's everywhere. We thought, you know, that happened in Israel. It's not relevant. Here, to be a Jew and to say, I'm ready to be a leader. And you're not being forced to do it. Everyone here did it on their own terms, voluntarily. I don't think anyone's parents forced them to come, but even if they did, you made it through, right? So you're here and you're ready to be a leader. And to be a leader in today's society just means that you're ready for challenges that are going to far surpass your predecessors, myself included. It's really unbelievable that I looked at the 8 pillars and I looked at, you know, a lot of the coursework that you covered, and it's tremendous foundational work to get you ready for the future. And I'm sure it's not any coincidence, and I do this every week. I try to look in the Torah, I try to look at, you know, I try to dedicate time to learn every day, and one of the things I do is I look at, is God communicating with us somehow in the Parsha something that's relevant for today, for today's times? And I'm not going to spend time giving a sermon, but I want to just point out a couple of things that popped out. Coincidentally, this week is the week that I'm speaking here in front of everyone, and this past Parsha, strangest thing happens. God tells the Jewish people, before they're about to see Israel, the land of milk and honey, this is the best developed land. You know what I want you to do? I want you to plant seeds so that there's going to be trees to come. Now, that's the strangest thing to ask when you're about to present this beautiful land that's fully developed already. They don't need trees. It's the land of milk and honey. It's fully developed, but God tells the Jewish people, go plant seeds so we have a tree. So we have trees to come. So the obvious question is, why? And the answer brought down by the rabbis is because God is sending us a message. It's not about today. Today you're going to come in, you're going to be really happy what you see. You're going to be proud that this is my land as a Jew. But what's going to happen with the next generation? They're going to come in, they're not going to get that same vibe. So you plant the seeds so that when they come in, there's fresh trees that are blossoming. It's unbelievable for them. They get the wow factor also. And that's what it's all about. So today, you finish the first part of your journey, but you're about to buckle up and continue to advance. And the reality is, even sitting here today, as I listen to everyone, and I've been doing leadership for a little bit myself, I'm growing. I took in things and I didn't bring my pen and I wanted to write all over my notes, and there's so much to take back, and that's really what it's all about. It's all about growth, and you're going to see that. It's almost like, if you had to compare it, I'd compare it to a bottle of wine, that over time, hopefully, it gets better, right? So the leader that you are today, you're going to make mistakes along your journey, and that's okay. Because if you make mistakes, it's all how you deal with it when you get back up. If you get back up and you repeat the same mistake, not the best thing, but that's okay. You'll fall harder maybe, and you'll get up stronger. It's all about what you do with the experiences that you encounter and what you turn it into. You got to turn it into an opportunity. I want to take you a little bit through my journey because they rattled off a whole bunch of stuff that probably doesn't mean a whole lot to anyone. And the reality is I consider myself a healthcare guy. That's what I am. I'm a healthcare guy. And really, it started in my teen years when I dedicated my summers to working with developmentally disabled. And at that time, what I decided to do is I'm going to be a direct caregiver, which in my world is called a CNA today, a certified nurse assistant. And I took care of a boy, developmentally disabled, a Jewish kid in a camp. And I was very determined that I want to accomplish something beyond the day-to-day sitting with him and talking to him. And he wasn't continent, which means that he needed help to go to the bathroom, and he was wearing diapers, and he was already a teenager at the time. And I said, you know what, my goal is this summer for 6 weeks, I'm going to toilet train him. That's what I'm going to do. Even though it was a complete, out-of-touch, lofty goal, because he had professionals working with him all year beyond his parents, and he was incontinent. But I gave myself that bar that I wanted to achieve, and I set forth the goal. And we worked together, and I would, every 2 hours, remind him, Moshe, you got to go to the bathroom, let's go, come on, let's go. And didn't work. I was failing miserably, and the weeks were going by, and I'm like, this is no good. Should I think of a different goal? And I said, no, I can't. I got to do this. It's gonna be a win-win, because if I succeed, he wins, and I win because I have this goal that I set. Anyhow, I would wake up every 2 hours all night long and go into him and say, hey, let's go to the bathroom. Come on, let's go. Let's do this. Fast forward, at the end of the summer, he was fully toilet trained. And his parents came into the camp, and they told them, by the way, your son is fully toilet trained. They couldn't believe it. They said, what? They didn't believe it. So, of course, they showed him, look, he's not wearing any briefs. And he was so excited, and he told his parents, yeah, I'm fully toilet trained. And the tears that were streaming down his parents' eyes were so contagious. I said, Hashem, that's why you put me here. I hit a goal. I was able to impact someone's life. But not only did I impact their life, I actually impacted my own life, because it sent me a message saying, you know what? It's all about setting goals. And if you set the right goals and you do it with heart and passion, you're going to go places. That was the beginning of my journey. I want to share with you another thing. And this is important because academically, everyone's at a different point. We have folks that are in 10th grade and those that are moving on to the next chapter in their life. I want to share with you, when I graduated, and I actually learned in yeshiva for many years. And then I shifted, and I decided with my yeshiva degree, which you heard about from Israel, I'm going to go for my graduate degree. And I went to Hofstra University in Long Island to their graduate program. And this is being out of any academics for a few years now. I sit in the class, and the first day, everyone is going around and saying, where are you from? Where did you do your undergrad? And I have Cornell and Oxford around the room, and I'm like thinking, what am I going to say? Jerusalem Yeshiva? Like, it's going to, I don't know how they're going to respond. And I was trying to think, is there like a fancy way to phrase it so I sound like I'm on the Oxford level? But you know, I said, I'm just going to come clean. This is what I am. I mean, I went to yeshiva in Jerusalem, and the whole room looked at me. The whole room. I was the only guy that wore a yarmulke, a kippah in the room, and everyone's looking at me like, from all these elite schools, and you have me. And of course, the first few weeks I was lost. I had no idea what was flying because I was a little disconnected. I said, I'm never going to make it. I'm done. But obviously, I wasn't going to give up, even though there were times I thought about that, and I persevered. And eventually, I graduated from the top of the class. Fast forward, today I sit on the Dean's Advisory Board of Hofstra University Graduate School of Science and Health Professionals. You gotta have determination if you want to make it. You can't give up. If you want to lead, don't be afraid. Be determined. And don't forget, there's nothing wrong with wearing a kippah out there, even if you're the only one in the room. You know, I shared this, I think, with Zalman and the rabbi. About 6 months ago, the new dean in the school called me up and said, you know, we want to honor you with something. We want to name our school after you. We honored you a few times, and we would like to name the campus Graduate School of Sciences after you. And obviously, they wanted a check that goes along with it, but put that aside. I came back to them and said, listen, I got to be honest with you. I appreciate your warm offer. But are you able to tell me that when I put my name on this building, that forever every Jewish student that comes in here is going to feel safe and welcome? And that everything that's going on in the world will not be a threat here? Because if you can't guarantee that, I can't give you my name. Because all we have is our name. And if my name is in the wrong place, and it can't be removed from the building, then what good does it do? So thank you for the honor, but if you can't give the guarantee, then I can't do it. But I will remain committed to give you my time and energy and commitment to work with the school. And with tears, he said, I totally understand, and I wish I could give you that guarantee. And I should be able to do that in 2023, but I can't. I can't do it. It's a different world, and I feel terrible. But you know what? I didn't throw in the towel, and I said, this is my opportunity. We have to take things like this, just like I did with my kippah in the class. We got to use these as opportunities, and that goes back to my opening comments, is you have tremendous opportunities that are going to greet you. You guys are leaders now. You'll see. When you lead in today's society, and you're a Jew, everyone's looking at you, whether you like it or not. And you could turn that into something tremendous. You really can. In the last year, I turned down the University of Tennessee that asked me to come and address their students. And I turned down, as I said, Hofstra, and I turned down other opportunities. Zalman asked me to get up here, and I said, you know what? This is what I stand for. This is really where I need to be. So I'm happy that I'm here with my yarmulke on, with a bunch of future Jewish leaders to speak, and to speak a little bit more about some leadership pointers, but also trying to pay attention to the tips I got about not speaking too long. You know, one of the other stories that I want to share with you, and I think this one is really something that I'm sure you've heard about, but I want to underline it, and I think it's very important, that throughout life, in whatever role you serve, you can never compromise on your ethics. Never. Don't ever bend the rules. And you know what? There's no rule book that has answers to everything. But if you don't feel it's right, don't do it. If you don't feel it's right, go with your gut. And all the girls here and all the women, you have amazing intuition, okay? You have an advantage over a lot of the men. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. Go with your feeling, okay? I'm going to share with you a story now that's all about my feeling that I think was the impetus to my success in life. When I was working, when I first got out of professionally my first job as an administrator, I was driving, I lived in New York, 2 hours each way to get to work. 2 hours each way. I'd get up about 4:30 a.m., had to drive to beat the traffic, 2 hours each way. One day I was in shul, and somebody said to me, "You're a healthcare administrator, aren't you?" I said, "Yes. I have an amazing opportunity for you. You could be an owner. You could have equity. You could be a partner. But you got to help my friend. You got to help him. He got this deal, and if he needs an experienced person, if you join him, he'll give you a huge stake of equity and a bump in your salary, whatever it takes." So of course I met with him, and I'm not going to give you the prolonged version, but anyhow, he offers me a position in a facility that he was going to acquire. That was going to be a lot of work. I was going to have to dedicate long hours and time. It was a turnaround. There was going to be a lot of headaches, but I was up for the challenge for the upcoming reward that would come with it. And I decided I could cut my commute from 2 hours to 30 minutes so I could put those hours that I was used to right back into the building and put in the long hours and get the reward. So I agreed. And I decided that before his acquisition, I was going to take a few weeks off. And after I take a few weeks off, I'll be ready for the challenge. Well, he's at the closing, and he says, "I think you should come. Come to the closing. We'll celebrate right afterwards because you're going to start working." And at this point, I took off a week. I was good to go. I get to the closing, and the seller comes into the room. And at that time, he was going to be the future landlord immediately. And he says, "I need to talk to you." He closes the door. He says, "Look, I know your dad, but I don't want to do business with the other guys you're with." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "They're not my type. But you, I'm okay with, but not them." I said, "What? Well, they brought me here. If not for them, I wouldn't be here." He said, "I understand that, but let me explain something to you. I won't do this deal with you, and you won't have anything if they're part of it. But if you do it without them, you get to pick up all of their ownership, and I'll cut you a deal, and you'll be ahead of the game." And I looked at this guy, and he was a religious Jew, and mathematically, he was offering me a sweetheart of a deal, right? I could cut out the guys that brought me and have a better picture for myself. I had already left my job. I was kind of desperate, but I felt like Hashem was talking to me. And I looked at him and said, I don't need to think about it. I'm not going to do it." He said, "What, are you crazy?" I said, "What do you mean? What, am I crazy? I can't. They brought me. I have gratitude to them. If not for them, I wouldn't be here." He said, "You won't have anything. What is wrong with you?" And he proceeded to get upset and said, "Do you realize that how many buildings I've donated and my name is on all these charities, and you're just young and foolish and uneducated. And you'll learn that the real world doesn't work like that." And I said, "You know what? I might fail in the real world, but I have to sleep at night, and I have ethics, and this doesn't feel right. So I'm going to take a pass. And I'm not going to have a job, and I understand the implications of it, but I have to sleep at night, and I don't feel it's right. And even though I don't have anything in writing with them, I won't do it." And that's what happened. We lost the deal, and I didn't get it, and I was now unemployed. And guess what happened right after that? 9/11. No jobs in the New York market. No jobs. So I remained unemployed for months. I got offered a job in the Midwest in Chicago for 50% less than what I was making at the time. 50% less. But I did it. I said, I have a small family at the time, and I'm going to do it. I'm up for the challenge. Sometimes you have to go down to go back up. It's all how you decide you want to deal with it. So I'm going down in half. But when I said I have to make one trip, I want to shadow some of my colleagues, some of the friends that I know that are in the business, just to kind of assess, look at what they know, what they don't know, the day-to-day. And I came back and I felt so good. And I said, you know what? I have such a good foundation. I feel so good about where I'm going and how I got here. And even though I got to move, and even though I'm taking a 50% pay cut, I'm up for it. So I get to this company, and then they show me my building that I'm going to go to my first day, and I'm driving an hour and a half. I'm thinking, can you believe this? I went from driving 2 hours to a potential better opportunity to now moving my family to the Midwest and driving an hour and a half each way. This is crazy. Hashem, what is going on here? But I didn't give up. I said, you know what? It's going to happen. I know it. 2 years later, I had a bankruptcy opportunity for me to buy my first nursing home. I didn't have a penny. Nothing. So we went, fundraised, got money from whoever we could. We bought our first building in the state of Indiana out of a bankruptcy. We paid just the way it works is you pay per bed, let's say. So we paid about $8,000 per bed. About 3.5 years later, I sold it for $45,000 a bed. So I realized Hashem was happy with me. He was looking out for me. Don't ever compromise, ever, on what you believe is right or wrong. And God will take care of you. There's no question in my mind. I then entered the state of Illinois. And what happened there was just unbelievable. In Illinois, they put out something called an RFP, which is a request for proposal, which means that if you want to bid on a contract, potentially, you come to the county, which is where Cook County, which is where Chicago was, and give them a solution for their problem. Well, they had a problem with all these undocumented folks in the city that needed health care, that were stuck in the hospital system with a very, very high exorbitant cost. And I said, you know what, I have a solution. We could take care of the folks in our home as long as we contract with the county. And what I did was, I pulled out my notes from when I was in Hofstra University that kind of guided me on how to do a request for proposal, which I thought I'll never really need to. I wasn't going to work in a non-for-profit. I'll never need it. But I still had my notes because I was that annoying guy that stood up front and just asked questions like crazy. That was me. And you know what? As a result of that, I got a $25 million contract with the city of Chicago. And what did I do after that? I called the university and said, I want you to know something. You need to share this with your students so that they don't think like they're just sitting here and this is irrelevant things. The things that you learned in the program, you'll see when they come alive as a leader, it's the best feeling in the world. When you can look at your notes and live them, there's nothing better. You know, Sam, I was going to take a picture of the sign that you gave me, and I hang right next to my desk. Learn from your friends. When you learn from your friends, you're going to find lessons that you could take at any given point of your career. It's very, very important. You understand it's all about learning on an ongoing basis. Any good leader does it every day. Do it all the time. So, I got one more good one for you, and then I'm going to wrap up. Right? How am I doing with time? Okay. This one, I think the rabbi would appreciate. I'm a big believer, as you become successful, don't forget the rabbi, don't forget your community, for sure not your parents, ever, and don't forget your mentors. Hashem rewards us when we give back. It's all about that. We're put in this world for a reason. You can't forget that. Too many leaders forget that. They forget where they came from. They forget their successes, and they're afraid to give charity. You gotta give tzedakah. You gotta give lots of it. You gotta give charity, and don't be afraid. And be very comfortable testing Hashem and say, I'm doing this. When you test God and you say, I'm going to throw out a number, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get there. You know what you're doing? you're now tying yourself in on a whole different level, because now you're saying, it's almost like credit card debt. You can't afford to not make it happen because the interest will kill you, right? So when you make a commitment to do something with charity, and the rabbi can attest that I'm good like that, you want to get that paid fast. You don't want to carry that, and you want to challenge yourself, because then you're going to have to work harder, you're going to have to be more successful to give more. And you'll see it just keeps coming, it keeps going. But it's all about believing in your heart that things can happen out of the norm when you connect with Hashem. I'm going to tell you an amazing story, and then I'm going to close. I had a tenant in one of my buildings. He was in a very bad situation from a regulatory standpoint. That means the inspectors were going to shut down his building, and it would have been a loss of millions of dollars for some of the problems that he had from bad care in the building. He came to me crying and said, "You got to help me out. Is there any way you could look at my citations and dissect them and see if there's any compelling argument that I could make?" And Reuven Hussein, you would love this. I gave him such great ammunition on all the flaws and the deficiencies that they cited, and told him specifically to call the deputy director of the state and use my name, and tell them that I personally crafted these arguments, and if you could please spend a few minutes just reading it, at least you know you have a chance. And he was so excited, like there was this renewed hope, there's a chance that this may get reversed, he could save his building. I told him, we're not done yet. You need to call this kollel, and you need to become a partner with them, and tell them, if I save my building, this is how much charity I'm going to give you. Please pray for me and learn from me. He said, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I said, and then you also need to talk to God. You have to take action, you have to work, but you can't just put it on everyone else. Okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Well, this happened around Rosh Hashanah time. And he calls me right after Rosh Hashanah. He says, you're never going to believe it. The guy doesn't work for the state anymore. He retired. I'm like, oh boy. He goes, yeah. So I left probably 10 voicemails because they didn't change his voicemail yet. And no one's calling me back, and no one's answering, and no one's going to read it, and I'm about to go down. And I think my close date comes out to be 2 days after Yom Kippur. I said, well, we got some work to do. Keep calling that kollel. Don't stop calling. Leave him more and more messages. Don't give up. Pray, daven, give tzedakah. I was in Israel for Yom Kippur. After Yom Kippur, I got a call. You're never going to believe this. The message was from John. John was the deputy director who retired. But because they were short-staffed, they brought him out of retirement right after he just retired. It was a miracle. And he reviewed the refutation and decided to reverse everything and put them back into substantial compliance right after Yom Kippur. So when I tell you that Hashem communicates with you when you do the right thing and crazy things happen, it's true. I can tell you many, many stories, and I had a hard time figuring out which ones to talk about tonight. But I just want you to know, lead with passion and heart. That's my closing comments. If people out there know that you care, and they feel your heart, and they feel your passion, and hopefully you're seeing a little bit of that with myself, because I think that's how I manage and that's how I lead. If people feel like you could connect with them with passion, everything else flows. You're untouchable. I bless you all that you should become amazing leaders, not only in the organizations that you may run, but making a huge Kiddush Hashem and making us all proud. Thank you again, and I wish you a mazel tov.
Good afternoon, parents, mentors, and fellows. My name is Noah Garston, and it is an honor to be before you as we salute the hard work of everyone who brought us to this point tonight, our Solomon graduation. Thank you for celebrating with us tonight, and I am delighted to have been selected to close our graduation. Throughout this year,
Being a part of this prestigious program, we have been humbled, we have been motivated, and inspired in a way we could have never predicted. I personally have been humbled by you, my fellows, as we sat at our mentor groups each week and listened to the questions presented. You showed me just how much each and every one of us brings to the table and the complete dedication that each of you put into your endeavors. The amount of strength that is evident in this room is something that I have never seen among a group of teenagers. And this is now, I can't even fathom where you will be in the future. I have been motivated by my mentors and the guest speakers, who have given us a small taste of their vast knowledge and experience. One thing that has resonated with me from my mentor was his considerable resilience in the face of adversity. My mentor taught me how to pivot to adjust to any setbacks in any given situation, which will undoubtedly serve us well because a nimble mindset is an essential part of being a leader and being able to use what you have and modify your strategies accordingly. I've been inspired by the ways this program has instilled in every one of us a vision and ways to obtain it. The Solomon program is not simply an after-school activity. It is the beginning of a path to make our lives meaningful to ourselves and to others. Do whatever you can to make an impact on ourselves and our community, especially those in need. This program has taught us that dreaming big is nothing without the ability to act. Understanding that leadership is not about individual success, but rather building up our community as a whole. It's a key component of leadership skills that is taught in this program. Just like Hashem cares for his people, we need to care and build our community up. Rather than standing out as individuals, we can lift each other up. Since the tragic events on October 7th, we have realized that standing together as a united people means. This program has taught me that in a world that is divided and angry, we need to be a light to one another to bridge the gap internally. We can learn from all our leaders, like the Rebbe, who has a single-minded vision to bring all Jews together and ensure that every Jew, from Bali to Bal Harbour, has a place to go for Shabbat. Closer to home, we cannot fathom the work of the effort that Rabbi and Rebbitzin Lipsker dedicated since the time they came to Bal Harbour. On this very ground we stand on, we owe a debt to them and to everybody who has contributed before us. The most wonderful thing about the Solomon Project is that it is ensuring that there will be better leaders for tomorrow. I speak to you now, not just as an individual, as a representation of every young Jewish leader who embodies the hopes and the dreams of those who came before us. Congratulations to the Solomon graduates. It's been an honor to be a part of this program with you.